Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Noelle and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel, and today I have a book box to share with you. It is not one that is sent to me for review. Occasionally I will get a little promo box, but for the most part, because I have an active subscription, I'm not eligible for those because I'm getting the box anyway. The box, of course, is a Once Upon a Book Club. This is the adult selection that comes in the very young looking, to me, pink box. I think that the young adult actually comes in a green box, and then occasionally they'll have a middle grader which comes in an orange box. And then of course they have tons of limited edition boxes that right now they're promoting their different Christmas boxes. I think they probably sold out of both Halloween boxes. They have an Advent box. They do all kinds of fun stuff. We've even used some of their seasonal limited edition boxes for our book club, which we run on a quarterly basis out of the No Nook, which is our private Facebook group. We do still have a one more read for the year, so we are very shortly going to be taking a vote on the title for that. And the way it works so far is we've been doing it for 3 years now. Basically, we do select a title that is going to be featured in one of the book boxes that I open here on the channel. That may change in the future, but that's how we've been doing it. And this year we've been kind of bouncing around from different box to different box, which has been really fun, so that you can kind of see and experience it for yourself and we can read along together. All of that said, we will probably be using a Once Upon a Book Club box at some point during the future, and if you do subscribe or get one of those boxes, you can use my code, which is HiNoel10, and that will save you 10%. I will leave that information for you, as well as my referral link, in the description box below. But the monthly boxes are $59.99. That does include the shipping. It includes the title. It includes a bookmark, a 5x7 quote card. It includes 3 to 4, sometimes even more gifts that go along with certain passages in the book. The whole idea is to bring the novel to life. Nowadays, they do make it possible for you to actually find out the title of the book, but usually they just send out a hint, so you know the genre, you know the general vibe. For the longest time, I feel like for a good 6 months or maybe even longer, there haven't been any romance titles, which is usually the only time that I will skip. So I've been getting a lot of historical fiction and just contemporary fiction, and I've been really enjoying it. This is the July box, so let me open it up for you. Now inside there's usually, ooh, almost dropped that on the ground. There's usually a plastic sleeve that has the guide. So this tells us that the theme for the box is against all odds, because when they send out that hint email, or it's posted on their website as well, they don't actually tell you the title, but there is a little link, a little button that you can click now to find out the title if you want to. The book is The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau, so it's about the French resistance during World War II. So if you don't like that period in your historical fiction, this might have been a title that you skipped, but I actually really enjoyed it. I really love historical fiction because I feel like I can always sense the amount of care and research that went into it. And I really appreciate that. Now, what's really nice is that we do have some discussion questions. Ooh, they switched it up and put the discussion questions on this side. They do give us a list, of course, of the gifts that came along with it. And then this, instead of, sometimes we do get an author's interview. She must have been busy. This time around, we got a little bit about the history of Robin Hood. Now, I did also download the audio version of this book. I thought that the reader did quite a good job, although one of the accents I think was supposed to be British, and it was much more Irish. I don't know what happened there. And there was a couple of things that were, because it takes place in Boston, so there were a couple Boston pronunciations that I was like, that's a little off, just as someone who lived there for a little while. And then on the back, this is kind of normal. We do have a recipe. Sometimes it's a crossword puzzle. So they kind of did like the added content interest pieces twice because they didn't have author's interview this time around. So we got the Robin Hood, which would normally be something that might appear on the back, and we got a recipe, her Dijon chicken. So that's, of course, very, very French. And they do actually have a Facebook group that does their book club as well. And there's also, like, there's all kinds of things. This is a huge book subscription. So there's like buy, sell, trade. There's all kinds of things. that you can do to be part of that community. All right, so this is the collectible sticker. So this is something that they've been doing just to kind of increase loyalty. You can put this sticker on a poster or a water bottle or whatever you want to. I think I just have a stack of them. Usually when I gift the book to someone, either in a giveaway box or just as a gift, I usually do include that sticker so they get that as well. For a while I was like keeping all of them, and I realized I wasn't really doing anything with them. So, and then we have our quote bookmark, of course, with the Tour Eiffel, and then also here's the quote card. So it is in the times of greatest danger that we must summon our greatest courage. And of course the author, I didn't mention it, is Kristin Harmel. And then again, I'm a little bit sad because this time around it looks like they didn't get to interact with the author quite as closely as Once Upon a Book Club, as a large book subscription usually gets to do. On the back we usually get a nice letter from the author, so this time around we didn't get that, and we didn't get the interview, because usually we get both, which is pretty cool. But I might just be getting spoiled, so a lot of the times that's on the back. All right, so this is the book. I will say one of the nice things about this particular July box, though, is we did get a hardcover. So I think this book was actually published a while ago. We usually get pretty new titles from Once Upon a Book Club, but maybe because it's a hardcover and it's a really beautiful edition, maybe she's still doing a lot of promos for it. So that could be one of the reasons that she didn't necessarily have... hardcover edition, June 2025. So this is very new. This is just the edition, but let's see, copyright 2025. So it's pretty new, so that's probably why she didn't have time necessarily to promote. But this is like a nice embossed from pretty cover. And then we have all these jewels and black and white photos. This is the lovely fabric cover with the butterflies, which of course are an important symbol. And then I thought this was really cool. Look at this printed, this is very popular right now, these printed edges. And I'm pretty sure that it's actually supposed to look like a jewelry box, right? Because for a second I thought there was like a folder or something in there, but I think it's supposed to meant to look like a jewelry box that you could open, but it's just the book. But that is with it face down, or you could do it this way, but then it's like on the bottom. I don't know. That's what I thought that was all about, but who knows. So I thought that was pretty. Let me go ahead and read the blurb to you, and then we will get into the 4 gifts. There was, as is the case usually these days for Once Upon a Book Club box, there was a page with a QR code that took us to a Spotify selection, and this time around it was Wagner's Tristan and Isolde, the opera, which is actually historically accurate and also takes place in the novel and has significance because the young romance, they refer to each other as Tristan and Isolde. Colette Marceau has been stealing jewels for nearly as long as she can remember, following the centuries-old code of honor instilled in her by her mother, Annabel. Take only from the cruel and unkind and give to those in need. Never was their family tradition more important than 7 decades earlier during the Second World War, when Annabel and Colette worked side by side in Paris to fund the French resistance. But one night, in 1942, it all went wrong. Annabel was arrested by the Germans, and Colette's 4-year-old sister, Liliane, disappeared in the chaos of the raid, along with an exquisite diamond bracelet sewn into the hem of her nightgown for safekeeping. Soon after, Annabel was executed, and Liliane's body was found floating in the Seine, but the bracelet was nowhere to be found. Like, pretty dark, right? It's like 70 years later, Colette, who has redistributed 30 million in jewels over the decades to fund many worthy organizations, has done her best to put her tragic past behind her, but her life begins to unravel when the long missing bracelet suddenly turns up in a museum exhibit in Boston. If Colette can discover where it has been all this time and who owns it now, she may finally learn the truth about what happened to her sister, but she isn't the only one for whom the bracelet holds answers, and when someone from her childhood lays claim to the diamonds, she's forced to confront the ghosts of her past as never before. Against all odds, there may still be a chance to bring a murderer to justice, but first, Colette will have to summon the courage to open her own battered heart. So there's a little bit of a mystery, there's lots of like familial relations and trysts and things that you're trying to figure out. So I did like that element of it for sure, and I do like shifting timelines. I always think that's kind of interesting. I really enjoyed the book, but you have to kind of be into this sort of novel If you do good in the world, it might just be possible to turn back the darkness. That's the quote that they chose for the back of the book. So let's go ahead and get into our gifts. I will read the passage. I'm going to skip the one about the with the Spotify playlist, but I can show you what it looks like. So that was on page 38, I think. I can show you what it looks like. No, that's 58. Goodness gracious. And then I will read the passage, and then I will open the gift. Of course, I've already opened them, so let's see if I can find page 38. So this is what it looks like when you get the QR code. You can go on to Spotify using your phone, and then they will play the music, which I do love having that added sonic element. So that's kind of cool. All right, so our first gift, which I actually think was like the best gift, and this, in terms of the gifts this time around, I thought this was one of their better boxes. So page 63, this is what you come to. Is this the sticky note? This is Colette. This is in 2018. She washed her face, made herself a cup of coffee, and got dressed, taking care with her makeup as she always did, adding her signature red lipstick and black mascara, though she expected no visitors today. So we get this idea of Colette, who is a jewel thief, as being this like very sophisticated, like French older woman. And so of course she wears her signature red lipstick. Here's our little butterflies to match the cover of the book, page 63. And probably not surprising to you, we got a lipstick, but I thought this was such a cool lipstick container. It's got that like fabric, which, you know, you used to get those little like lipstick holders, which I was like, would anyone ever use this? But this is actually the tube, and it actually says Resistance Red on it. I don't know if you can see that, but I thought it was such a cool like little tube of lipstick. And I also thought it was really like very like spy jewel thief like, because it's hard to open. Like it took me a little second to figure it out. So you have to push in this side, ta-da, and then it comes out, and then look, there is your Resistance Red lipstick. And then when you start to twist it up, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but it does have like engravings, like designs on the lipstick itself, which I just thought was super duper cool. Really cool, great red. I haven't used it yet, but like honestly, just for the sake of having this really cool container, again, you're just gonna press it from one side. I was like, I don't know how that works. Such a like cool like spy jewel thief thing. All right, so that was the lipstick. You guys, by the way, let's have a secret password. Speaking of secrets and spies and jewel thieves, so let's have it be lipstick. When you come across a secret password in one of my videos, you want to enter it along with your contact information in the Google form linked for you in the description box below. Please don't put the passwords into the comments, because then it's not secret anymore. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to be a subscriber of my channel, and you do have to have a US or Canadian mailing address. Canadians, I'm probably not going to be able to mail giveaway boxes to you these days, just because the shipping has gotten really expensive, but I will do something for you in terms of a gift card or something else. So feel free to enter for sure, because I want you to be able to participate. But definitely see the details in the form, and we can work it out amongst ourselves if you are selected as a winner. Because basically what I do is I use a random number picker about 5 days into the following month, so it gives you time to catch up on all of the videos, get all of your secret passwords in. Each password is an entry. There's usually 10 to 12 per month. And then I will contact you, we'll verify via email that you are subscribed to my channel, and then I'll send out a little mystery box as my way of saying thank you for watching my video. So today's secret password is lipstick. Let's move on to the next one, which was on page 82. Let's see. So again, we have our little sticky note. Sometimes it's a little one if it's at the bottom of the page, and I have to see if I can find the gift. Oh, here it is. This time it's wrapped up. So Colette is writing to her little love that they leave messages for each other in like a brick wall. And her sister is like, his name's Tristan? That's weird. That's old. It's like, it's just old-fashioned, literary. Colette bit her lip. Anyhow, he wrote something for me, okay? Lillian shrugged. Well, why don't you write something for him then, silly? Then she bounced away, singing to herself before Colette could reply. Write him something in return? Of course. She was no poet, but maybe she didn't need to be. Maybe she just needed to speak from the heart. She went into her parents' room and pulled a piece of paper and pen from Papa's desk, bringing them back to her room. So I did think it was interesting, because I did listen to part of the audiobook that they have like her speaking with a French accent in English, but of course, you know, she's speaking French, so she wouldn't really have an accent. All right, so this is what we got. We've got this, like, it looks like a book, Tristan and Isolde. It is a 100-sheet notepad and pen set. It does have Once Upon a Book Club on the back. It's another interesting way to get in. So it has a nice little magnetic closure. That's cute, right? we have this pretty sort of marbled pen and then 100 sheets. And then on the front sheet, they just typed a pretend letter from her back to Kristin. And the top says, apart the lovers could neither live nor die, for it was life and death together. And that is, of course, like the, what is it, honeysuckle and something else that represent Kristin and Isolde. All right, then we have to wait for like 200 pages before we get another gift, which I usually do like when they're a little bit more spaced out throughout the novel, because occasionally when it is a hard read, you like kind of need that gift that you know is coming around the corner to get you to read a little bit more. That was not the case with this one. Honestly, I think it was just a little over 300 pages. Oh, it was like 350 pages, but it was enough that there was enough twists and turns. There were a few things where I was like, I knew that, you know, someone was alive that somebody else thought was dead. There was a little bit of like Romeo and Juliet in terms of like, you know, people's paths and messages got crossed, or, you know, people just had to trust, especially during the war, that like, oh, I saw this person here, or I heard that this happened to this person, or, you know, there was a lot of like crossing paths and changing names and moving to other countries and that kind of thing. So there was a lot of mysteries that weren't really mysteries, I guess. So this is what it looks like when there's a passage that comes at the bottom of the page. So this one is page 288, which is this lovely, as they're always lovely packaging. I personally like it when it's not a wrapped gift, but I get that it's probably pretty expensive to create these like hard, nice cardboard boxes that they do. Let's see, can I remember what this one is? Oh, so this is her going back, and she's like an octogenarian at this point, and she's there. She goes back to Paris. As the car slowed to a stop in front of their hotel, Les Jardins du Marais, Colette realized with a jolt of sadness that they were in the 11th arrondissement, mere blocks from where she had once lived. Her heart thudded as she and Danielle climbed out of the back seat. She breathed in, Paris itself assaulting all her senses at once. Yeast, smoke, flowers, exhaust, eternal spring. How was it possible that the air itself felt like home, like a reunion long overdue? So I thought that was lovely, and that's so true. Like, you really do. There are smells that just feel like home. Like, I know that when I get, even though the airport itself has changed very much so, when I was a little girl, there was like a tree in the middle of the Maui airport. But every time I get off at the airport in Kahului, I'd like that smell of just like, and the like humidity, and it's so close to the ocean, and there's just like something about it. It doesn't matter what time of year, like it's and it's like the airport, like there's cars and like fumes, and but it just smells like home. So probably not as romantic as Paris. So here we go. So we're gonna get the smells of Paris. So I do love how they do the like packaging though, right? Pretty cool. Okay. Well, so this is the book. This is kind of cool. So basically they must have bought the hardcover, which again is very nice, like an old-fashioned one, and then maybe Once Upon a Book Club worked with them to do the wrap. So it does have these nice glossy kind of embossed letters, but then you can see Once Upon a Book Club, instead of doing a sticker, they actually just I think did the wrap to match, which is cool. All right, so inside for page 288 we have some foam on top, and we have a lovely little diffuser with pink reeds. This is very Once Upon a Book Club to do this, but it looks very Parisian. It looks like a little perfume bottle almost. So it does say it's springtime in Paris. It's a reed diffuser. I mean, I think that's cute. Like, and I always get and receive and give a hard time because they do so many things that are very feminine, very pink, very frilly. But this case, I feel like that works. I didn't actually open it up to unplug it, but I was a little bit worried because when I first opened the box, I could smell it, and it smells a little fruity. So there may have been some leakage at some point, but it's very like fruity and fresh. It's very spring. It's interesting though, of course, that this was a July box, but I actually like it, so I may actually use it. I thought that was another good gift, and it is a glass bottle, which is nice. All right, we have one final gift, and that came almost at the very end, and it is $3.57. Now, one thing that I've always given Once Upon a Book Club a hard time about is their jewelry, because it's hard to make nice jewelry, even costume jewelry, for a book box like this. And because she's a jewel thief, I was like, oh man, we are going to get some terrible bauble. But it was not that bad. So this came in the epilogue. Let's see. Colette wore her half of the butterfly bracelet and Liliane wore hers. Daniel had, true to his word, returned the bracelets to the Marceau sisters, insisting that his mother would have wanted them to have the pieces of jewelry that had brought them back to each other. So yes, these two bracelets that by themselves, it looks like a lily, and when you put the two pieces together, it's a butterfly. They were created by a jeweler to represent each child in a family. And I actually think Once Upon a Book Club did a good job. So you can see it kind of looks like a water lily by itself. And then it's like those best friends, like heart necklaces we had when we were kids. Then if you put the two pieces together, it is a butterfly. Now these two pieces themselves don't actually hook together, and of course the ones in the book had like diamonds and all kinds of things and a very intricate clasp, but I thought for fun fashion jewelry, they are individual bracelets. I thought this was actually pretty cute. There is no way to really, you could wear them together, but it's not going to create that butterfly shape. But I thought this, for Once Upon a Book Club, they went for it. They actually tried to create the like most iconic, most important jewelry in the novel. And there are quite a few different pieces that they could have tried to recreate. I thought they did a good job. And I think it's because they didn't try to be so literal or, you know, do fake diamonds and a fancy clasp, and they just did kind of an interpretation. I thought it was pretty good. So between the really cool like spy lipstick and the pen and notepad, which were okay, but like not bad at all, the diffuser and the bracelets, I thought this was a good gift box from Once Upon a Book Club. But you guys let me know what you thought in the comments below. And just so you know, if you do like World War II French Resistance novels, this is a good one to read. I'll see you soon in my next unboxing.